Welcome to Steps Forward with Ricky, a weekly walking podcast designed to help you take steps forward in your life and your day. Hello. It's so funny. I really, my energy was kind of low before I started talking and putting those headphones on, and now I'm re-energized. Something about podcasting, I just really freaking love it. And I'm going to try to stop swearing as much too. I don't make any promises, but I'm certainly going to try. And welcome to the podcast. If you're new here, welcome. I don't know what took you so long, but make sure you're walking as you're listening. If you're a regular, I appreciate you. Make sure you're walking as you're listening too. It's been about almost 3 months of the podcast, which is really great. And, you know, if you're listening and you're thinking about starting something or doing something in your life, or maybe you've tried to change a habit or start a business or whatever it is that you're doing, and you're like, okay, I don't know if I can do this, or I've never been consistent before, or I always try something and then I stop it, and whatever your excuses or the stories that you tell yourself, you can do this. The idea that you want to start, the podcast you want to start, the road trip you want to take, like, you can do this. And I've been learning so much about manifesting and just putting certain energies out there, even if you're not there yet, right? Even if you have these big goals or these big dreams or these changes you want to make, and you might not be 100% in that place. Like, your reality might be really different than the reality that you want. So it's probably hard for you to picture you in this business or in these changes or in this life or whatever it is that you're looking for. But something that I've been working on is realizing that it's all just about energy, right? So I will literally picture myself, or I'll create these like feelings in my body of what it's going to feel like when I have this, or when I'm doing that, or when I'm doing this. And before I started the podcast, that's what I did too. I would literally close my eyes and I would envision myself speaking and what it was going to feel like and how it was going to be and how people were going to respond to it, even though none of it was my reality yet. And now, you know, I'm 3 months in and it is my reality. That doesn't mean that it has been like a perfect journey, but I really believed that I could do it. And I had a vision, and it wasn't a perfect vision, but when I closed my eyes and I envisioned it, and I saw you listening to this, and I saw people walking, and I saw people liking this and what it would feel like, I really tried to picture that every single day until episode 1 came out. And it's just a good reminder for you and for me that we don't have to be 100% in there or at the place we want to be at for us to be able to get there. You can get there from where you're at now. Truly, even if you're like, but what I want is so far away, that might be true. But I also think it's really good for you to understand, like, what you want, that's a great dream. But if what you want is like, if you're like, okay, I want to have 6 figures and I want to have this beautiful house in the ocean, right? Like, yeah, that might feel really far for you to get there. But what if there was something more realistic that you could wrap your head around, right? Like, okay, you want to take this trip, or you want to get X amount of clients, or you want to start this podcast. So I also think that the importance of like manifesting the things that you want is to also make it realistic. Not that you shouldn't dream big, but maybe before the house or before the 6 figures, there are certain things that you want to get into place first, that you could get to first. So it's like, okay, I want a podcast has millions of listeners, right? Like, that's the end goal, but that's not where I started. I'm like, I want a podcast and I want to have 100 listeners, 1,000 listeners. I'm going to imagine what that feels like in those at those points, because that felt attainable to me. So just dream big, but break that dream down, break that vision down, and really feel what it feels like to embody that. Embody is like a big word that I've like taken on, because everyone that I learn from, everyone that I look up to always uses that word. Like, you have to embody who you want to be before you are that person. And that means feeling what it feels like when you get that thing, even if that thing isn't there yet. Feeling what it feels like when you walk down the aisle to your future husband. Feeling what it feels like when you're on that road trip. Just feeling what it feels like to step into a reality that might not be yours yet. Because your body, your brain really doesn't know the difference between then and now. So you can trick it to thinking, yeah, you are already here. And then the universe will make sure that you get there just because it kind of already thinks that you're there. I know it's a little confusing. I'm learning a lot about it like already in my life. And It's really powerful because we really do have the power to change our lives. Not perfectly and not in some like 5-step process of here's how to change your life, but we can use our energy and use our power and use, the things that we want in our life. We can get to them, but we have to believe that we can get to them. And so if you're setting these crazy goals and these crazy visions that are so far away from you, let that be the big dream. But make sure you take all the necessary little steps and you envision all the little steps and the little wins along the way. Because if you can't enjoy the process and you can't be in the process, then the big goal is it's just a goal. And then you're going to create another one because it's not going to feel good because you have to enjoy what you're doing, right? So I enjoy podcasting. I love coming to the studio. I don't always want to come here. Like sometimes I just don't feel like talking. I know it's like probably shocking, but seriously. But I enjoy putting in the headphones and I enjoy talking like this. And then I enjoy marketing it and I enjoy what it feels like when you listen to it. So I enjoy the process, not just the review that I get, not just the downloads that I get. Like I enjoy doing it. And that's really, really, really important. You're not always going to enjoy what you do at every second, but if your only goal is to get to the destination and you can't enjoy the process, getting to the destination is going to feel a lot harder. And then once you get there, you're going to be like, well, that was not even fun. And now what? So have the big dream and envision it and live it, kind of show up as that person. Like you are the person that already has 6 figures. You are the person that already has this million listener podcast. You're already this person who has this car or this relationship. Embody that person. Be that person. Who do you have to be to get those things? Who do I have to be to get that amount of listeners? I got to be a leader. I got to be myself. I got to show up here. I got to be open. I got to be authentic. I got to market it, right? I got to be a marketer. I mean, these are the things that I have to be to get to where I want to get in regards to this podcast. So good question to ask yourself is, what do I want? Why do I want it? And then who do I have to be right now to get it? You might be the person that has to show up when you don't want to show up. You might be the person that's got to get your ass to the gym. Maybe the person who has to be a little more organized. Whoever you have to be. Because really, it's not about not being yourself. It's just about enhancing who you are now. So that's that. That was 8 minutes of just, I don't even know if that was like the topic today. But it is kind of the topic today because something that I'm really, 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 really working on is who do I have to be right now in my life to achieve all the things that I want to achieve? Even if I'm not 100% sure what it is I want to achieve, just who the fuck do I have to be? I have to be a leader, right? I have to show up. I have to be strong. I have to be not smoking, right? I have to do things that I would rather put off. I mean, I have to be this person now if I ever have a shot at going where I'm trying to go. And so do you. You and I are not any different. And the only way you ever can achieve the things that you want and lead other people and get to where you want to get to is if you lead yourself. I really, really believe that. Honestly, that's one of the reasons I stopped smoking. That phrase in my head of like, what the fuck do you want for your life, Ricky? What do you want to feel internally? Who do you want to be? And then how and who do you have to be to get there? And I'm like, oh, well, I definitely can't be high. That's not going to get there. The universe is going to look at me and be like, oh, you want this, this, and this, but you're getting high all day. Like there's a disconnect, right? So if you're like, I want a great body, but then you're eating or you're just being destructive with food or you're not moving your body, it's like the universe is like, no, you don't. You don't want that, right? If you're like, I want to make 6 figures, but then you're just not applying yourself or you're not investing in yourself or you're not showing up, then the universe is like, you don't want that. And it's real, it's true. It's like energetic. So for me, it's like, okay, I don't know 100% what I want, but I know that I want certain things. And I know that there might be certain things in my life right now that if I keep doing them, I'm never, ever, ever going to get them. Just for the sole fact of like, it doesn't align with what I want. And that was really a big push for me to stop smoking. Obviously, it was like, okay, you need to heal your internal being and your trauma and your pain. But I couldn't heal any of that unless I stopped smoking. So if I can't heal any of that, then I'm definitely not going to get to wherever it is I'm trying to go. And this is important. Even if you don't know where you're trying to go, you can't even figure it out if you're destructive. You can't even get to the source or the answer if you're high, or if you're procrastinating, or if you're putting things off, or if you're staying in relationships, or if you're staying in a job that you hate. Like, you can't energetically get there, even the answers, because you're just so stuck where you're at. And I want to read you something, because if you're listening to this, I cannot talk today. It's, there are a lot of things in my life that I truly never thought that I could change. Like, I'm dead serious. Just a lot of things. And I'm changing a lot of things right now. And I'm embodying this person that I know that I can be, that I am in my core. But this does not happen overnight. When I meet people and they are like, how did you stop doing that? How did you do this? How did you make this change? I'm like, it took me fucking years, like literally years of trying to stop smoking, years of trauma, years of procrastinating. Like, these changes I've made didn't happen overnight. They happened in time. And they didn't happen in a linear way either. Like, I quit smoking. I started smoking. I quit smoking. I did all these different things in my life. And it wasn't like I quit smoking and then I made this decision and that was it. Or I got out of a relationship, and the second I decided to get out of a relationship, I made that decision. Like, it's not how it works. And I wanted to read you something. And this is just in regards to smoking, because maybe you're on that journey around. Maybe you're on the journey of just trying to change anything in your life. You can replace smoking with anything in your life. Your job, your relationship, your habits, whatever it is that you're trying to stop or trying to move forward from. I wanted to read you this because I saw this in my phone the other day. I wrote this entry in April 30th, 2018. Okay, it's obviously November 4th of 2021. So this is a few years ago. And I want you to listen to this, because I wrote this really thinking that this was the last day that I would get high. And it wasn't. Today, on April 30th, 2018, marks my first day of living without pot. I know, even just seeing the word makes me feel a little silly, because it's something that I have to actually think about to stop. Truth be told, it's what lies under the pot, or perhaps sometimes what lies within it, that I'm so embarrassed of. Ever since I can remember, I've struggled with this vice, smoking pot to numb the loneliness and then eating to fill it up. For so long, I wrote them off as unhealthy vices. Eventually, I'd get rid of them. But now I see it's bigger than me, because I understand now that my relationship with pot is deeply connected to the pain and discomfort I keep trying to fill up. Here's the other thing. Life is good right now, so there's no reason for me to be trying to escape. But is there ever a reason? So here I am today. I threw it all out, and I'm going to work like hell to get rid of this vice. I want to be 100% me, and I want to step 100% into my future, but I can't do that while I'm living in my past. I hope one day I can share this journey of quitting smoking with you guys, but for now, I'll have to document it just for myself. I know I can fucking do this. I didn't do it. I wanted to do it. I didn't do it. I don't even think that I lasted like 6 hours. And I was so ashamed of that. And that was 2018. And I read that because that's real. That's a real transformation process in terms of like, that's really how it works for a lot of people. They really want to do something. They really want to change it. And they might write things like this, and they might go to AA, and they might get a therapist. They might do all these things, but they don't actually ever do it. That doesn't mean that you can't and you won't. I didn't know if I would ever be able to stop smoking. I'm not even fucking with you. Like, I remember when I stopped finally, September 26, 2021, finally, after years of these entries. And it was the different feeling that I had was, I got to this point where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be 34 years old, and I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be the exact same. And there was something about it. It was like time was running out. I felt like time was running out for me to change. And it never is. You can always change your life at any time. But for me, I was like, okay, I ran in so many circles that I got to a point where I was like, there's nowhere else for me to run. And the thing that I was the most terrified, which was loneliness and to feel my pain was the thing that I needed to feel the most. And so I made a decision. I actually made the decision on September 23rd that I was going to stop smoking. And I did great. And it was like 2 days. And then I started smoking again. I literally like rolled the joint on September 25th. Okay. And I remember I was like, oh my God, am I ever going to be able to do this? And then I smoked this joint and I started hysterically crying. And I was like, this is not you. Who do you want to be? Where are you trying to go, Ricky? What the fuck are you trying to do? Because you're so talented and you're so this and you're so that. And then you're so attached to this thing. Like, what is under this thing? What are you so scared of? And I had this like voice in my head that was just like, you don't have to be so scared anymore. Like, you can be brave. And then I said to myself, who do I have to be to get to where I want to go? And it was so clear to me. It was not a person who got high. It was not a person who stayed in things too long. It was not a person that was inconsistent. It was not a person who questioned herself. Who I had to be was the person I am now. So I stopped. The next day I was done. And I wasn't just done for a little bit, I was done. Because I made a decision that wherever I was trying to go, I have to be that person now. It doesn't really matter how long it takes me. And then here I am now. I'm almost 50 days in. I mean, that's incredible. And hopefully that inspires you. And it's okay if you're not ready to make these changes in your life. If you're not ready to stop smoking or get out of your relationship or start your business or just live in alignment, I get it. But I want you to know that doesn't mean that you won't be one day. And sometimes it takes a lot of little rock bottoms to finally realize that you want to be at the top and that the bottom isn't working for you anymore. So I want you to know that, like, you can manifest and you can be whoever you want to be. It's not going to be a perfect journey. You're going to fall on your face a bunch of different times. You might try to do it 100 different times. But the most important question that you ask yourself when you're on the ground is, who do I have to be to get off? And I want you to think about that for a second. Stop walking just for a moment. And I just want you to think, who do you have to be to get to where you're trying to go? What does that person look like? What does that feel like? What does she do? What does she wear? What does she eat? What are her thoughts? And it's not about not being you. It's about being all of you, the best part of you. Okay, you can keep walking. But seriously, who do you have to be to get to where you're trying to go? And if you made a list and the list on the left side was all the things that you do now, and they don't connect to who you're trying to be, you better start crossing some shit off one by one. And I hope that you know that I know it's challenging, but I swear to fucking God, if I can do it, you can do it. And that's what I think about when I look at other people who have the things that I want. I'm not jealous. I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. I used to Google Gabby Bernstein because she was an addict, or she is an addict. And I was like, Gabby, like literally, how did Gabby do it? And I'm like, well, she can do it, I can do it, even if I hadn't done it yet. So embody who you're trying to be. Even if it feels silly and you're like, I don't know, like, what does it feel like to be someone who doesn't smoke? Are you more energetic? What does it feel like to get out of that relationship? What does it feel like to take that trip? What does it feel like to make that money? Because you can have that. And I hope you know that it's okay if you haven't done it yet. And I really hope that my journey inspires you to just keep fucking going on your journey. So I hope you had a great walk. And this was like a very unplanned episode. Obviously you can tell, but that's all right. And just put one foot in front of the other. And it's okay if you haven't done it yet. Like, doesn't mean that you can't do it. Just keep telling yourself that. You can be and do whatever you want in this world. And doesn't mean it's going to be a perfect journey to get there. Hope you had a great walk. If you loved this episode, please leave me a review on Apple Podcast. And I also just wanted to put in quickly that if you are looking for leadership and some mentoring, whether that's with your life or your business, I am opening up spots for that. I would love to help you take steps forward and live in your truth and unlock that power, because I know what it feels like to feel powerless. But you can make a change. You can start that business and you can heal. And sometimes you can't do it alone. So stay tuned. And if you are looking for more, please feel free to DM me. You can email me. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. And I will see you next Monday.